It would basically, like, the weekend would be starting now.
Right, yeah, I mean, I did it for last 7 years, so.
Okay, I did
So,
mornings for
yeah.
6 years before
Yeah,
I came
yeah,
here.
I'll just say I'm much happier.
Really?
Yeah, much happier.
Mine's like, my shift is 11 to 8 though, so I don't know. It's like kind of weird.
Okay, yeah.
I like don't have like much like a morning, but I also want
That
to
is,
like tonight. Like, I was like, I can go do something. It's fine. Like during the week,
So
like,
one
get up
thing
at 8
that's,
or you want to go run errands. Everything's
Yeah.
yeah.
next week, Monday through Friday.
But I should.
Yeah, they're far away.
I feel like that's I got several years. Shifts are all over the place. Like, usually like day side, morning, night side.
Well,
That's the worst.
yeah, because she anchors one day a week.
Yeah, they both anchor 1 day a week.
Oh, yeah, they're both, yeah.
So it's just like Nicole, she's
They
she's
split the
Sunday.
weekend mornings.
Yeah. She's like Sunday morning and then she's night side and then she's day side. Consistency is a nice thing to have.
Two kibbles. All, and they canceled it. Yeah, so I was like, scrambling to get something done, so I was like, this is such a.
Is that somebody important? For one month? This was great for me. It gave me some more time to get some other stuff done.
Give us some extra time to watch things.
How are you? I'm Christine Downs. Sorry for all the no. I was gonna say,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, so I'm Dr. Yeah, well, yeah. You're no, that was
The other guy that disappeared.
Okay. Other than, one's on vacation
Well,
and
thanks
one's
for
on
being
work.
Well, hey, it's still just making sure.
El teléfono en la cabeza, lanza una sopa y da la vuelta. El efecto.
Still happening. Yeah. Yeah.
We'll just be starting in a few minutes.
Hopefully we can make it done.
Me pasó con una periodista que está grabando. Le decía, mira, mándame unos videos por tu teléfono para hacerlo del live. No sé qué ver con eso. Para hacer el paquete, sino mándame algo así. Y me mandó un video con cámara lenta. Como es un online en cámara lenta.
Well, good morning, everyone. I apologize for being late, but duty calls over at the mayor's office. But I'll go ahead and jump right in. So, as many of you know, when I was appointed to chief, I identified pretty quickly a top priority of preventing crime, lowering our crime rate, and working in collaboration with the community. It's also no secret that one of our greatest crime challenges is auto theft. And we also know that that many auto thefts lead to other crimes, often violent crimes. And so it's really been a challenge for us. And here today we're going to announce the beginning of a new program in partnership with the community that gives us a greater ability to prevent cars from being stolen, allow them to be recovered much more quickly and give us a greater opportunity to catch those individuals that have stolen those vehicles and hold them accountable. So with that, I'll introduce Lieutenant Ryan Harris, who can talk about the specifics of this particular program. Thank you.
Thanks, Chief. So a little bit about me. Again, I'm Ryan Harris. I work as a lieutenant in the Southeast District, District 3. I was assigned there in 2022, later last year. And I spent most of my career in vice narcotics and other investigations. When I came out to District 3, my dad actually contacted me, who used to live in District 3. And in 1981, my parents moved to Denver, and my dad tells me about his car getting stolen in 1981. And what am I doing about auto theft? So obviously auto theft was an issue in the 80s, it was an issue in the 90s and the 2000s, but we're seeing a level of auto theft that's much higher than we've ever seen before. So with Chief Thomas and Commander Aragon, the ask is for us to come up with innovative strategies. So we looked at the data, what was it telling us, and we looked for strategies that we could impact the auto thefts that we're seeing in our community. So one of the ideas we came across was from Cook County, Illinois, and we found that they had developed a vehicle tracker partnership. And that vehicle tracker partnership was to combat carjackings for their city. So their city, which includes Chicago, is about the size of 5 million people, and they were having upwards to 2,700 carjackings a year. Now we're not experiencing the same level of carjackings, but what we are experiencing is auto thefts. So we repurposed that idea, and we're here today to release information about it. So in reviewing the information from Cook County, what we found is vehicles that are newer than 2015, the vast majority of them already have some level of tracking built into them. So this could be an infotainment system, this could be a telematics system, GPS, and other devices. What we also know is that people across our city, regardless of what type of car they have, are taking it up beyond themselves to place some kind of tracking device in the vehicle. And that could be a Bluetooth device, it could be an aftermarket GPS. What we have not done as a community is share that information with our offenders. Share that we are tracking our vehicles, and share that we are in a partnership with the Denver Police Department, that if my vehicle is stolen, that I'm going to work with the Denver Police Department to recover that as quickly as possible. So this program works in two ways. Three ways. This deters auto thefts. We're going to place this sticker on people's vehicles, and I'll explain that process in a second, but the information that we obtained from Cook County gave us information that the desire to steal a car when we advertise this sticker reduces by up to 50%. So this isn't going to be perfect, but this is something that the community members can do to make their car less likely a car that's going to be stolen. So in addition to deterring crime, we're going to make arrests on a more frequent basis. With this partnership with the community and giving us information about where your stolen car is, we can arrest our suspects and provide meaningful law enforcement intervention to those offenders. And then third, we'll reduce, when we look at all the crime that we're looking at, last year we had, of all of our auto theft arrests, 70% of those people arrested were arrested for a secondary crime. So everything starts with the vehicle crime. A lot of our burglaries, our other property crimes and violent crimes starts with the use of a stolen vehicle. So if we can decrease the amount of time that we have a stolen vehicle out there, our hope is, and we're confident that we'll be able to decrease other crime categories as well. So how does this work? So we created Denver Track. So Denver Track is a website. It's on denvergov.org/DenverTrack. Anybody that lives in the city and county of Denver or works in the city and county of Denver is eligible to register. When you go to this website, you go to the registration form, and this registration form will ask for some pertinent information. This will include the year, the make, the model, your VIN number, your license plate, and the state of issuance. Next page is going to be the owner information. And the owner information is the owner information for the vehicle, and that needs to be the person that's filling out this form. By filling out this form, what you are doing is you're attesting that you are the registered owner of this vehicle, that you will, that you do have some level of tracking available in your vehicle, and that if your vehicle is stolen, at a later date, you will provide consent to the Denver Police Department. So as far as the consent goes, we're asking for that people to attest that they will provide consent at some time, but we want to get that consent on the front end of that steal. And that's for a couple reasons. One, to ensure that that consent is not stale, to ensure that we have the registered owner, and so that we get that as soon as that car is stolen. So once you fill out this information, you'll be provided a couple options about what sticker you would like to have. So these stickers, we have two different kinds right here. So if you get on here, you will be provided with these two stickers right here. One of the stickers right here will be placed on the lower right-hand corner of the driver's door, right where an offender would gain entry into your vehicle. The second sticker is this one, and this one will be placed on the windshield of the car facing towards the driver. And this is another way to advertise that the vehicle is being tracked and to notify that offender that this vehicle, you won't have this vehicle for long, and law enforcement will be coming for you. We have another option as well that does not have the DPD badge for residents that do not want to have a DPD badge on there. If they don't feel comfortable with that, there is an option for there too. So how do we get this program to be effective? First is getting community members to sign up. We've met with community members in Southeast Denver, and we presented this program, and we've had overwhelmingly positive feedback on this. So we need to get this information out to the public, and we're going to do that through not only talking to the media, but getting information out on social media and other digital platforms. But it's not just important that we push this information out to our community members, but we also need to advertise this to our offenders. So if you look at this poster right here, we've partnered with the Denver Sheriff Department. And the Denver Sheriff Department is going to have these placed in the intake and in all the pods in our jails. They'll be receiving information about what this program's about. So if they come across a vehicle, if we have an offender that's going to reoffend, they will know that this vehicle will be recovered in a short period of time. So we understand that some people might have problems filling out this form online. So we've opened up an auto theft prevention week for next week. So Monday through Friday, community members can go to any one of our 6 district stations between the hours of 4 and 7 p.m. And there we'll have some police volunteers and officers available to assist any community members with signing up for this program. Additionally, we'll be providing catalytic converter etching kits to any community member that might need that. I want to do a quick thank you to a lot of partners with this. We started developing this program in November of 2022, and that took a lot of help. That started with the Colorado Auto Theft Prevention Authority, who's been a big help in this. RTD, we've recently reached out to RTD, and we know that a lot of their ridership has been victims of these crimes, and we're working collaboratively with them, not only with RTD and their marketing team, but their transit police on this issue. And then lastly, the Denver Sheriff Department has been a great partner with this, and I believe will continue to do so. Any questions?
Thanks for holding this press conference. I want to start off with a silly one, but it's on everyone's mind. Will the Denver Police Department be able to track people who opt into this but don't actually report their car stolen?
Great question. No. So if your car is not reported stolen, we cannot track you. And it's important to state when we talk about the level of tracking that people have. So if you have a Bluetooth device, like an AirTag or a Tile, you can register for this program. The person that holds that information about where that location is the vehicle owner. So what we're saying when we ask for consent is we're asking for your consent for you to give us that information. We don't hold that information. Let's talk about other ones. Sorry. So OnStar, Blue Link, My Ford, Uconnect. There's a numerous amounts of telematics systems that are inside vehicles that are 2015 and newer. So with those ones, that company owns that information. The consumer might have the access to see that, but we don't have access to that. And again, the consent is, if your car is reported stolen, that we will use that consent to work as your advocate to locate your vehicle.
And something super important you mentioned was about, while this is a great innovative thing, having that sticker is a huge deterrence piece. For someone who doesn't want to opt in, are you guys going to be making these stickers available for people to pick up to slap on their vehicle?
So that's something we're looking at in the future, but currently with us adopting data-driven approaches to crime prevention and evidence-based, we need to prove some effectiveness of this program. So before we do that, we're going to demonstrate some effectiveness.
Do you think that a program like this could have prevented situations like we saw in early February where a vehicle owner decided to take the matter of a stolen car into his own hands and resulted in the death of Elias Armstrong?
So as far as that incident, this program it demonstrates that we can't put the toothpaste back in the tube. People are already tracking their vehicles. What this program does is provides us a safe alternative to finding your own car. And if people take one thing out of this press conference, what we need to get across is do not go find your own stolen car. Work with the police department and we will help you safely recover your vehicle.
So is there any privacy concerns or considerations other than providing information? Like, say for instance, you have a car that's not stolen, but actually, let's say they have a suspended registration, the owner has a warrant out for the arrest. Will that information from this program be used for that as well?
No. So again, the consent that we would obtain, all of this is attesting that you will consent at a later date. We're not using this consent. We can't use this consent to go to OnStar or MyFord or if you have a Bluetooth device, I can't do anything with that information. So we would only track the vehicle if your car is reported stolen. We obtain a consent at that time, and then we would work with a third party to gain location information. Most of the time, that's going to be the community member. That community member, if they're paying for OnStar, if they're paying for BlueLink, they're paying for a lot of these products, or if they have that Bluetooth device like Tile or AirTag, they're going to be the owner of that information. We're just asking for that information to be shared with us. Again, this is a voluntary program. Yeah.
Do you have any estimate on what percentage of cars on the road are 2015 and newer and have the capabilities for this?
I don't. But what I will tell you is I think that percentage might be not necessarily helpful to us understanding how many people are tracking their vehicles. Because what we found is people that live across the city are using tracking devices regardless of the vehicle.
And in terms of the factory installed ones like OnStar and so forth, if someone's not subscribed to that and paying the subscription, that system's not going to do any good in this case, is it?
I'm glad you brought up that question. So that's not necessarily the case. So what we've found in reaching out to these telematics companies is that a lot of them will allow you to activate it after the car is stolen. If that is the case, then that might create a fee or a cost that would be responsible to the citizen that has their vehicle stolen to pay for to reactivate it. But that's not always going to be the case. In some cases, we might have a telematics system or an infotainment system provider that will not provide us the information if they're not paying for it, that pay-to-play option.
And you said this is for people who live or work in the city, is that right?
Yes, sir.
And the other thing that I'll add to answer your question is we track the top 10 stolen vehicles most likely to be stolen, and all of those vehicles are within that 2015 range.
And it was mentioned that in Cook County, there was data that suggested that desire to steal a car when there was the use of a program like this went down. Do you know what kind of data was collected to reach that conclusion?
So the data that was obtained for that was based on jailhouse interviews. So They did what's called TTP interviews inside the jail with offenders to learn more about the MO and people committing crime. When their program was presented, that was where we got 50% reduction in desire that came back with that data. But I will say that they rolled out this program publicly in October of 2022. They did this data about 30 days in before there was a big push out to not only the offenders, but to the public. So I believe, and I'm confident, that that number will only increase.
I have a question for the chief. This all might just be a coincidence, but earlier this year, Governor Polis essentially asked lawmakers to create tougher laws around car theft. Is this a product of that sort of mentality coming from the top?
No, as he mentioned, this is something that we have been discussing and trying to identify solutions since late last year.
I know there was a statement made about wanting to make more car theft arrests. Obviously, a product like this will help you guys out, but wanting to, have the legal ability to make those arrests and how sentencing works when the person is, arrested for car theft. Is that at all encouraging from the governor's push to get tougher on this kind of crime?
Certainly, because one of the things that we understand is helpful in crime prevention is surety of consequence. So the likelihood that someone is going to be arrested and then later held accountable and face consequences, I think that that's going to help us significantly with reduction.
I saw that the first round of stickers was purchased by the Colorado Auto Theft Prevention Authority. Has there been any thought to potential long-term funding needs for the program?
Yeah, so what we found is we've had a lot of different partners come forward and other jurisdictions. So as we started putting this program forward, we had neighboring jurisdictions that found out about it and have started reaching out. So working with the Colorado Auto Theft Prevention Authority has been huge, but potential other financial means to obtain more stickers or develop this program into a metro-wide program is a possibility. So yeah, all options are on the table.
And just to be clear, so if I have a car that has, say, a 6-disc CD changer, probably doesn't have Bluetooth capability, all I have to do is go out and buy an AirTag or something, and then I can opt in.
Correct. So yeah, if you have an AirTag, and if you look at the cost associated with these, it really makes it equitable to the entire community. Regardless if you have a vehicle that's worth $100,000 or you have that 6-disc CD changer in your vehicle, you can open this up to really any community member by the purchase of one of those devices. And we're not just talking Bluetooth devices. There are aftermarket GPS devices that are relatively inexpensive with inexpensive service plans. But by far the cheapest option to do this is a Bluetooth tracker similar to the Apple AirTag or the Tile and other Bluetooth devices.
And just a quick follow-up, do you have any advice as to if people do that, where should they put that so that if someone steals it, they might be looking for it, they'll just put it right in their dashboard or something?
The only advice that I'll give on where to place it is put it in a place where an offender won't easily find it. I don't want to give out an exact location so that we're advertising to the offenders where we're going to be placing those, but put it in a place where the offender won't find it. Yeah.
Is this strictly for cars, or would other vehicles like motorcycles be included in this as well?
So motorcycles can be included in this, anything that's considered a motor vehicle. But if you look at other items across the board, this isn't designed for those items, but people are already tracking those things. If you look at construction sites, a lot of construction equipment now has a Bluetooth device attachment where you can put that on construction equipment and other items that are commonly stolen.
I think I heard a similar question to this, but if you do not opt in ahead of time, but you have an AirTag in your car and your car gets stolen, you can't come to the police afterwards and say, I have an AirTag, can you guys go find this thing?
We will still go find that vehicle. So if we have information, regardless if you sign up for the program, we will follow up on that. Now, as far as how we follow up on it, in both situations is going to be dependent on the variables that are there. If we have the vehicle that's, let's say, in the state of Wyoming, we're going to be limited on what the Denver Police Department can do. We can work as a referral agent at that time to work with the local agency to recover that vehicle.
So I want to wanna make sure I understand how this would work. You fill out this form, and then your car gets stolen, and I call you to say it was stolen, and I've already opted in. At that point, then you go get the data to figure out where it is.
Yeah, let's walk through that. So you sign up for the program. When you sign up for the program, you fill out the registration form, and we send you the 2 stickers. The stickers are important because we're advertising to our offenders that your vehicle is being tracked, which will act as a deterrent of your vehicle getting stolen. So we're trying to stop your vehicle from getting stolen initially. If your vehicle is stolen, then you contact the police department first thing. You report it. An officer will come out and obtain the information. The officer will have information that you're part of the program through some data that we've put into our RMS, and they'll ask you about it. Once they ask you if you have real-time information because you pay for a provider, or if you have one of those providers that has real-time information, give it to the officer. The officer will then utilize that information to take a good faith effort. Let's say we come into a circumstance where that information is not readily available. If that information is not readily available and you have a telematic system, a GPS system, that you don't have the information, we'll ask you to fill out a consent form, completely voluntary, and then we'll forward that to our detectives to work as your advocate to obtain the location information about your stolen property.
You mentioned other forms of transportation. You can already register a bicycle, a non-motorized vehicle with DPD. Do you have any plans to incorporate GPS? If I want to throw an air tracker in my bike, to incorporate that into bicycle stuff?
Not currently. So currently we're limiting it to motor vehicles.
I saw data in here about reported vehicles stolen last year. Is there any updated data for so far this year? I know it's just a couple months in, but.
I do not have, I don't have that information readily available.
In a way, could you compare this maybe to like the doorbell video subscriptions a lot of people are doing in different cities, where you can say, hey, I have a doorbell. You can't watch it right now, but in the case you need it, you know where to find it. Is it similar to that concept?
I mean, it's similar in the concept that we're utilizing existing technology to deter crime. So yeah, I mean, in that sense, it is similar.
And also similar in the fact that we have to get that permission before we're able to do it.
Could you just clarify what a catalytic converter etching kit is?
So a catalytic converter etching kit is a way for community members to mark their catalytic converter and register it with a unique number. So that does a couple things for us. One, when you get it, there's a sticker that you place over your catalytic converter, and then there's a low acid level paint that you paint on there that's clear, and then that will inscribe a unique number onto that catalytic converter. Then you go online to a third-party vendor and register, hey, this is my catalytic converter. So what that does is 2 things. One, it deters criminals from stealing that catalytic converter because they know it's registered. And then 2, if it unfortunately it is stolen and law enforcement comes across that catalytic converter, they can work with that company to see who is that catalytic converter registered to.
How much does this cost in all, like for an owner? You know, I don't know if you set the price or anything like that.
So as far as the services and stuff?
Yes.
So it really depends on the provider. So if you look at a Bluetooth device, you're talking less than $30 with no service fee. If you're talking about an aftermarket GPS device, you could be talking between $30 and $50 with a service fee, in probably about the $20 range. Don't quote.
I'm sorry. Is that annual, monthly, what?
It's completely dependent on the provider.
But there's no fee here.
There's no fee here to register for this program. This is an absolutely free program that the Denver Police Department is asking you to register for.
So if you have a car that's already equipped with a tracking sort of mechanism built in within the car, or if you're one who has an AirTag and you're able to come to police, even if you're not opted into this, you said that you guys would still be able to use those devices to track the car. So is really the incentive or the benefit of opting in really to just expedite the amount of time you guys have, expedite the process to locating the vehicle?
Yes. So, I mean, you talk about expediting that and shortening that time that vehicle was stolen. So I think I mentioned it earlier, but of last year when we looked at all the vehicles that were stolen, there was 70% of those, of the arrests, 70% of those arrests involved a secondary crime. So that could have been a property crime, a crime of violence, a lot of different crimes. So if we can decrease that window that that vehicle is stolen, ideally we decrease other related crimes.
If I fill out the form and I register and then my car gets stolen and for whatever reason I don't want you all to use the tracking device after all, am I able to say no at that time?
Yeah, so if you do not want us to use the tracking information at the time of the theft, don't fill out the consent, because that's the only time that we're going to utilize it. And that consent's really only going to be used if you have a third party vendor. So yes, you can. And then let's say you're part of the program and you no longer want to be part of the program. If that's the case, you can send us an email, which is provided on the website, and say, I would like to opt out of the program, and we will remove you from the program.
Do you guys currently, or do you plan to have any kind of program for people who can't, $30 might not sound like a lot, but to some people it's a lot, to help provide people who can't afford an AirTag or an aftermarket device with them?
It's something that we've talked about, but we're not at a place where we're doing that currently.
Have you talked to dealerships about this? Because, I mean, there's new car owners that might not get their title in, for a certain amount of time, and their tag and everything like that registered, and they may be vulnerable there. Have you talked to them about this program?
Part of the auto theft prevention throughout the city has involved us partnering with not only the dealerships, but with the manufacturers themselves. So, yeah, those conversations have been had.
In addition to that kind of outreach, and I know you mentioned you've had some meetings in District 3, what other groups have you reached out to start publicizing this?
Well, today's the big first push, right? So I appreciate you all being here. We presented this at our community advisory meeting that we hold once a month, a couple different times now, and the main reason for that was to get public feedback. We've also presented this in our Lowry neighborhood at a community meeting to see what the input was, and I'll tell you, I cannot say thank you to those community members enough, because a lot of times they mentioned things and provided feedback that was in our blind spot. So I think that feedback loop between the community and the police department is extremely important on getting a program like this off the ground.
I just clarify on the thing next week from 4 to 7, Monday through Friday, that's at the district stations, but not here, correct?
Correct. It's at all 6 district stations, not at headquarters. And again, it's 4 to 7 p.m. Every district will have that. I will say that some of the districts are expanding on those hours. So if you live in one of those communities, please look at our social media posts, and there are some additional opportunities beyond that as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can you pull the registration for me?
Good job.
Yeah, sure.
How would you do that?